about this, but you've got a headset. You can go on the podium, please. Ladies and gentlemen, Brendan Harkness.
Can everyone hear me okay? So I'm a little bit emotional today, or actually I've been a little bit emotional for the past 4 months or so, and I just want to say, first of all, thank you to Amsterdam for hosting what is a serendipitous and full circle moment for me in my life. And it's caused, I'm already pretty emotional about this, but. If you can imagine growing up I'm the son of a mountain, okay? My father was an RCMP officer as well. I was born in a small town and I grew up in small towns. And from the time I was about 15, up until I was about 15, I never really had any direction in my life until one day, in 1996, a car accident happened in front of the vehicle that my dad was driving with my mom in the passenger seat and me in the back. And I'm just this 15-year-old teenager that doesn't know what to do with his life. So a head-on collision happened right in front of our vehicle. My parents stopped. My dad's a police officer, my mom's a nurse. They got out and they helped this guy who spilled out of the car with a dog, and they were severely injured. And it was a poignant moment for me in my life because I finally understood what my parents did, and particularly my father being a police officer. And from that moment on, I had this reverence for it, and I still to this day do. But I remember thinking to myself, how do I become that? How do I become the hero that my dad is and my mom is? So I struggled with it for the next 5 or 6 or so years because of the fact that, longer than that, but because of the fact that I just never thought it would happen. We'd heard stories about, police officers who come out who were told to retire or quit. I grew up in small towns where being gay was not exactly a thing, it wasn't really accepted, and particularly not in policing. So it was very frustrating for me in the early parts of my life to be able to reconcile that. I just never thought it was going to happen. So I ended up working for a hotel company, which any big gay guy totally does. And I gained a lot of experience in that, but it also wasn't enough. And so I needed to do something that was going to allow me to be able to move on with my life, understanding that I just would never be a police officer. I'd never be able to be a Mountie. So the thing that I did, and I decided to do like most people in North America do when they graduate or when they get a little bit older, they decide to go traveling in Europe for a year. So I did. And so the emotional part of this for me right now is because that picture was taken on August the 3rd of 2006. That was yesterday, 10 years ago. And I remember when I showed up to Pride, and I saw these 3 police officers, and I said to myself, there's got to be a way, So the next year of my life, in the traveling that I did, developed the confidence for me to eventually go back to Canada and decide that I was going to do it and come what may, as an openly gay applicant. And so here I am. And what's even better is that not only am I here 10 years later to the day, but I watched that Pride parade on the canal 10 years ago on Saturday. And I remember seeing the United Nations float go by, and I thought to myself, there has got to be hope for me in the RCMP if the United Nations is here today. And the other special privilege that I have is I get to be on that float. So I'm going to be standing in uniform as an openly gay RCMP officer, celebrating that fact in Amsterdam 10 years later. I'm trying not to be all windy, so I apologize for my tears, but I just think it's a very important message for everybody to just understand that the perseverance in yourself is exactly why I'm here today, and I just thank you very much for the opportunity to say that. Thank you.
Thank you, Brandon. Thank you very much. you. We have been in touch with the police officers and they wish you the very best of luck in the rest of your life and your career in the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. So, ladies and gentlemen,